Hello students, welcome to this lecture series which we have planned for all the students who are not belonging to computer science and engineering department. This lecture series will be planned and the topics like stack, queue, linked list, trees and graph which are usually asked during the campus recruitment process will be covered through different lectures in this series. We'll be communicating these videos to all the participants with the help of the YouTube channel. So all students are requested to subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can stay connected as and when new video is coming. You can watch those videos, and very important, post the videos whatever assignments are given to students. If you practice those coding assignments, it will help you to appear to campus recruitment drives of TCS and Capgemini and Cognizant in coming days. In today's session, we are going to restrict ourselves to one of the topics of data structures, that is stack. So to begin with, first of all, let us understand what do we mean by stack. So stack is basically one type of a data structure. So before I dig into stack, I would like to explain you that basically data structure are categorized into two types: linear data structures and non-linear data structures. Linear data structures are such data structures in which the elements are organized in linear fashion. We call them in sequential fashion, where the elements will be arranged one after the other. So I'll be having first element, after that I'll be placing my second element, then third element, and so on. And a fashion in which I have not organized it in a linear way. So maybe I have organized them in a hierarchical manner, say in the form of a tree, or I have placed them in a random fashion, say for example. So all such categories are kept into non-linear data structure. So broadly, as I stated, we classify into two types data structures: linear data structures and non-linear data structures. In linear data structures, we have various types like stack and queue, of which we are going to discuss today the first type of data structure, that is stack. Okay, so stack, as I stated, is one of the form of linear data structure. It is one of the form of linear data structure. So imagine that this is your stack as I have drawn here. Suppose this is your stack. So this stack, I say, is comprising of say 5 elements. For example, consider that this stack is comprising of 5 elements, right? So this is my first element, this is my second element, here I'll be placing my third element, then I'll place my fourth element, and then I'll place my fifth element. Okay, so when I do so, I can also represent this stack in a vertical fashion, say for example like this. Okay, so again I can visualize this stack as a stack of size 5. So this will be my first element, then second element, then third element, then fourth element, and then fifth element, right? So if I think of this stack as an array, say for example, so I can say that this is 0th position, this is first position, this is second position, this is third position, and this is fourth position, because we know that the indexes in array goes from 0 to n minus 1. So I am imagining that my stack is of size 5 in this particular example. And if I depict the same stack in a vertical fashion, so I can say that this is my 0th position, this is my first position, this is my second position, this is my third position, and this is my final fourth position. Okay, now what I can do with this stack is I can place some elements. So consider that our elements are numeric elements. Suppose I am trying to store numbers in this stack. Okay, we can store any type of data rather, but for starters, what we can consider is, we can think that we are using this stack to store numbers, right? So how I can store the numbers in this stack? So I need to add these elements in my stack, right? So I need to add the element in the stack, right? So this operation of adding the element in the stack is technically called as push operation. Okay, so what is meaning of push? Push is the operation for adding the elements in my stack. Similarly, if I want to remove the element from my stack, the operation that I'll be applying will be called as pop. The operation that I'll be applying is called as pop. So these two are the standard operations as far as stack are concerned. So push is the operation to push the elements in the stack. So it is a kind of insert operation, we can say. And pop is the operation for removing the elements from the stack. So we can consider this as a delete option from our stack. Now whenever I add my first element in my stack, where it will go? It will go on this position, because this is my bottom, right? So what we understand from this diagram also, the end that I am using to perform my push and pop operation is same. So I am using the same end for push and I am using the same end for my pop. So I am imagining that one of the ends of my stack is always fixed. What I am imagining this example is, one of the end in my stack is said to be always fixed. So I'm not going to use this end to perform any kind of push or pop operation. Whatever push and pop I want to perform is going to happen from the other end only. Okay, so in horizontal fashion you can think that it is getting added here, and the first element will come here, and it is getting removed from the same end, and this end we can say that it is fixed. Okay, now suppose if I add my first element into my stack. Okay, suppose if I add my first element into my stack, where that element will go in my stack, it will come at this position, 0th position, right? So that will be my first operation. Suppose my first operation is push of 10. What is my first operation? It is push of 10. So it is coming at this position. Now next time if I try to push, where it will go? It will come here, right? Because now already this position is occupied. So the next element will be added over here, that is 20. The next element if I push, it will be going over here, that is 30. The next element that I'll add will come here, that is 40. Now suppose after adding these 4 elements, suppose I am performing a pop operation. Okay. Now if I am trying to perform pop operation, as I stated, I am going to use the same end for performing my pop operation. So what will be the first element that will be getting popped in this situation? The first element that will be getting popped in this situation will be 40, because now 40 has reached to that top position, right? So 40 will be popped first, and then if I continue to pop elements, then next element that will be popped will be 30, then 20, and then 10, right? So if I apply pop operation over here, okay, so if I apply my pop operation over here, so the element that will be popped will be 40. Are you getting this, right? Next time if I apply pop, the element that will be popped will be 30. Next time again if I pop, the element popped will be 20. And finally the element that will be popped will be 10. So this is how our pop operation will take place. Are you getting this, right? So again if I come back to the same example, first if I do a push, it will be here. Then I do a push, it will be here. Then if I do a push, it will be here. So I hope you have understanding how push and pop operation will take place. Now due to this, what is happening is the element which is getting pushed last is getting removed first, right? The element which is getting pushed last is getting removed first, and that's why we call this data structure that is stack, as LIFO data structure. What we call stack? We call stack as LIFO data structure. Okay, this is a short form for last in, first out. What is full form of LIFO? Last in, first out. Meaning of this is the element that is getting inserted last in my data structure is getting removed first from my data structure. That is last in, first out. So hope you have understood the concept of stack, right? It is a linear data structure. Elements are organized one after the other, right, in sequential manner. The the operation to add is called as push. The operation to remove is called as pop, and the same end we are using for performing push and pop. The other end always remains fixed, and if I keep on pushing, the element which is getting pushed last will be getting removed first due to the nature of operations of push and pop. And that's why we call this particular data structure as LIFO data structure, that is last in, first out data structure. Now suppose if I keep on adding the elements, suppose again if I do a push, what will happen? 40, suppose, say for example, where it will be added here. Next time if I want to add element called as say 50, where it will be added? It will be added here, 50, okay. So space is there I added. Now suppose if again I am trying to perform a push operation. Now what is the situation right now? Currently I had taken my stack as size 5. Now all the 5 positions are already occupied, right? There is no more space available for me to push or to add more elements. Now in such situation, even if further my user is trying to perform a push, say for example I am doing a push 60, okay, now user is trying to do a push 60, but there is no space available, right? So this phenomenon in stack is called as stack overflow. What it is called? It is called as stack overflow. What is meaning of stack overflow? Suppose my stack is full. Suppose my stack is full and user is trying to perform push operation, but there is no space available, and that's why stack end up into a phenomenon called as stack overflow. Similarly, suppose if I am performing a pop now, so what will be removed first? 50. Again if I perform a pop, what will be removed next? 40. Again if I perform pop, what will be removed next? 30. Again if I perform pop, what will be removed next? 20. And again if I perform a pop, what will be removed next? 10. Now again if I perform a pop, what is the situation? Situation is that my current stack is empty. And user is trying to perform pop operation. Now there is nothing to pop in it, right? But still user is pushing that operation. So what will happen? A special phenomenon of stack will trigger in that case, and we call that phenomenon as underflow. So what is stack underflow? Stack underflow is a phenomenon in which the stack is empty and user is trying to perform pop operation. This is called as stack underflow. Are you getting this? Right? So whenever we are implementing this logic of stack, while implementing logic of push, we need to think of phenomenon called as overflow. And while implementing logic of pop, we need to think of phenomenon called as underflow. Now, at any point in time, suppose say for example, I initially do a push that is say 10, I do another push, suppose that is say 15, I do another push, suppose it is 18, okay, I can push any numbers. I can push in any order also, okay, it is not ascending order as such. Next element that I push, suppose it is 7, okay, so I am pushing elements, right? Now in this situation, suppose I want to see what elements are there in my stack, okay. So I use a operation called as traverse. What is the name of operation? The operation is called as traverse. What is meaning of traverse? Traverse is an operation which helps us to print what are the current elements of our data structure. So what are the current elements of our stack? 10, 15, 18 and 7. So if I print these elements, I call this particular operation as traverse operation. Okay. Now in order to implement this stack, we can use two approaches. For implementation. There are two approaches of implementing this stack. Okay. One is the static approach. Okay. One is the static approach and another is dynamic approach. This static approach can be done with help of array. What we are going to use to do static implementation? The static implementation can be done with help of array, whereas the dynamic implementation can be done with something called as linked list. Okay. So again I repeat, there are two ways of implementing the stack. One is static with help of array and another is dynamic with help of linked list. Okay. Now in this particular lecture, in this series, we are going to focus right now on the static implementation of array. What is our today's takeaway? Today's takeaway is static implementation of array. Once in our lecture series further, I teach you linked list because it is new to you, right? I understand you must have studied array in first year, right? So we can see this static implementation in today's lecture, but this requires you to go through first linked list concept. So once we study linked list, we will come back and we will share you how to implement dynamically the stack, right? So today's lecture we are going to focus on one program, that is static implementation of stack, and that will be done with help of array, right? In order to implement that, you can see that here we have visualized our stack in the form of array only, right? So you can see that this is your array. What is size of this array? Size of this array is 5. What is size of this array? Size of array is 5. So this A of 5, which is my integer array, will be nothing but my stack. This is nothing but my stack, right? Now, in order to represent my stack, okay, I always need to maintain that what part of my stack is already occupied and what part of my stack is yet to be occupied, right? So in this current situation, if you see, 4 space are already occupied and 1 space is empty, right? We need to maintain this, right? We should always come to know that what part of stack is occupied and what part is free for us to use. So we need some logic for this. So this can be done with help of one simple integer variable in our program. I call this integer variable as top. Okay, what is top? Top is an integer variable which helps me to represent my current top of stack. What is top? Top is a integer variable which helps me to represent my current top of stack. Initially this top is set to be initialized to -1. Initially what we are going to do, we are going to initialize this top to -1. Okay, why we initialize this to -1? Because this indicates us that currently my stack is empty. Initially when I don't have anything in my stack, suppose this is my situation, okay, I don't have anything in my stack, right? So my stack is empty, my stack is empty. At that time what is value of my top? Value of my top is -1. It is somewhere here, it is an imagination, right? So this is by logic I try to represent that my stack is empty. Now further, if I want to perform push, okay, so what is my operation? I want to perform operation called as push. Okay, so I'll give choice to my user in my logic, right? So I will give him that press 1 for push, press 2 for pop, press 3 for traverse, and press 4 for exit. You must have done a lot of programs in your first year in form of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? You must have used switch case, right? So I'm going to use a switch case over here in my implementation. That case 1 will be push, case 2 will be pop, case 3 will be traverse, and case 4 will be an exit option for my user, right? Now if user is pressing the first option, that is push, so the first element that will be pushed will be at this position, that is 0th position, right? But we know that my top is right now at -1, so first I should make my top as 0, correct? So what I will do is, I will do first top is equal to top plus 1. What I will do first, I will do top is equal to top plus 1. So my value of top will become 0, and then I will read the element at A of top. Where I will read the element? I will read, or I will scan, I can say, right? In the language of C I can say I am going to scan the element, right? Scanf I will write at A of top, because now top has become 0. So I will scan at A of top, A of 0. So now value of top has become 0. Value of top has become 0, and I scan the element at A of 0. Next time if again I do a push, what will happen? I will do top is equal to top plus 1, right? I will do top is equal to top plus 1. Value of top will become 1. Value of top will become 1, and I will scan the element at A of top. So the next element will be scanned at A of 1, that is 20. Are you getting this, right? Again if I press case 1, that is push, first I will do top is equal to top plus 1. Value of top will become 2. Then I will scan the element at A of top. So the next element will be scanned at A of top, that is 30. Are you getting this? Okay. Now again if I do a push, value of top will be incremented by 1. Top will become 3. I will scan the next element. Suppose it is 35, say for example, at A of top, that is 35. Are you getting this? Again if I push I select a case of push. Again top is equal to top plus 1. Top will become 4. I do a push. Suppose next element that I push is say 25. So I have pushed 25. Okay, 5 push I have done. Now consider again I am doing a push. Consider again I am doing a push. It should not happen. Why it should not happen? What phenomenon it is? It is phenomenon for stack overflow. We need to consider this. So before doing a push, if value of my top is 4, if value of my top is 4, again I am repeating, if my value of top is 4, then I will not be able to do a push. This I need to check. So while doing a push, first I will check that if the value of top is 4, then I need to give a message to my user that it is stack overflow. Otherwise, if it is not 4, so if it is say 3 or 2 or 1 or 0 or -1, then the logic remains same, that you will do top is equal to top plus 1 and you will scan the element at A of top. Are you getting this? Okay, so this is how we are going to implement a logic for push. This is how we are going to implement the logic for push. Okay, now consider that we are going ahead and consider that we want to perform next operation of pop. So let us think of logic for pop now. So for pop, I would ask you to imagine now stack in this way, okay, where we left it earlier. Okay, so this is my current stack, okay, and already I have some elements in my stack. Suppose 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. I have these elements, right? Whether it should be full, no, I can be at any position at any point in time. what will be the situation right now? What will be the value of my top in this situation? I have entered 5 elements in my stack, right? So what will be the value of my top? Can you guess? Yes, though we are connecting online, we can do a random guess at our end, right? So what will be the value of top at that case? Value of top will be 4. Even if you go for overflow, the value of top will not change, right? So top will always remain 4 in the case when your stack is full. In this situation, now my stack is full, right? Now if I press case 2, what we are learning now is logic for pop, right? So what will be popped first? What will be popped first, right? 50 will be popped first. So what I need to print? A of 4 I need to print, right? This is array A. So I need to print A of 4. So I need to print A of top. I need to print A of top. So first thing what I'll do in my pop logic is I'll print that the element percentage D is getting popped. And what is that percentage D? What is that it is getting popped? What is that element? That element is A of top. What is that element? That element is A of top, that is getting popped. So 50 will be popped, it will be printed, right? Now after I remove this 50, what should be my new top? What should be my new top? Now this is removed, so top should come below, right? So now new top should become 3. Are you getting this? New top now should become 3. So what I should do? I should do top is equal to top minus 1. I should do top is equal to top minus 1. Very important. First I should print that percentage D is getting popped, because first I should print that value 50 is getting popped, and then I should do top is equal to top minus 1. Say by mistake if I interchange these two statements, if I reduce my top first, what will happen? Top will become 3, and if I print statement later on, it will print me 40 is getting popped, which is a wrong output, right? So first you should print that what is getting popped, and then you should do top is equal to top minus 1. Are you getting this? Now again if I do a pop, what will happen? Percentage D is getting popped. What is getting popped? 40. A of top is 40, right? And top is equal to top minus 1. So 40 is getting popped, value of top will become 2. Next time again if I do a pop, what will happen? It will print me 30 is getting popped, correct? And value of top will become 1. Again if I do a pop, what will happen? A of 1 is getting popped, that is 20 is getting popped, and value of top will become 0. Are you getting this? And again if I do a pop, what will happen? It will print that 10 is getting popped, top is equal to top minus 1, so 0 minus 1, again top will become minus 1, and this is what we had initialized earlier, right? So when my top is minus 1, what it indicates? Our stack is empty. It indicates that our stack is empty. So automatically when you do pop off your last element, your top is becoming minus 1 in your logic automatically. You don't need to write any other logic for it, right? Now in this situation, again if suppose user is doing a pop, again if user is doing pop, what will happen? There is nothing to pop. So what is this phenomenon? As earlier we have seen, what is this phenomenon? This phenomenon is called as underflow. This phenomenon is called as underflow. We need to check that, right? So if the value of top is minus 1, if the value of top is minus 1, and again if user is trying to perform a pop operation, so this goes for the phenomenon called as stack underflow. So that we need to check first. So if top is equal to minus 1, we'll print to our user telling that stack is underflow. Otherwise, if the value of top is not minus 1, if it is any other value like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, the logic remains same, that I am going to write printf percentage D is getting popped, and I'll print A of top, and further I'll do top is equal to top minus 1. So I hope you have understood the logic for push and pop of our stack. Now third operation that we discussed was traversing. So traversing is nothing but printing the elements of our stack. So suppose I take an example, suppose 10, 20 and 30. Suppose I have done 3 push, say for example, I have done 3 push, right? So what will be the value of my top in this situation? Value of top in this particular situation will be 2, when I have 3 elements in my stack, right? Now if I want to traverse, so what is traverse? Printing everything in my stack. I want to print 10, 20 and 30. So I have to print A of 0, A of 1 and A of 2, correct? So I have to print all the values from 0 to 2. In short, I have to print all the values from 0 to top, because my top is 2. So at any point in time, if I want to print the elements of my stack, I have to print the array from 0 to 2, including 0 and 2, very important. Say for example, if I write a logic like this, I is equal to 0, a for loop I'll write, for I is equal to 0, I less than equal to 2, I plus plus. So what will be the possible values for I? 0, 1 and 2. So it will print all the values, that is 10, 20 and 30. Now by mistake, if someone writes I is equal to 0, I less than top, what will happen? I less than top means 2 will not be considered in this, and you might face a situation that, sir, last element is not getting printed. Why it is happening? Because you have not included that particular index in your for loop. So I hope you have understood the three logics of our stack, that is push, pop and traverse. So let us now implement this three logic with help of a C program. Let us implement now this logic with help of a C program. Okay. So consider that this is our program where we are trying to implement statically. So this is a static, I would say, implementation of stack using array. I am using C programming language in this case, right? So first I'll include my standard input output header file, and I'll start with my main function. I'll start with my main function. In main function, I have declared an array of size 5. What is this array? This array is nothing but our stack, and the size of this stack is 5. The size of this stack is 5. In order to maintain top of stack, as we have seen, we need one variable called as top, and initially we'll make this top as -1, right? What this indicate? This indicates that initially our stack is empty. Initially our stack is empty, right? Now next we will also require one variable later on in traverse operation, and we are going to implement this program with help of choices, right? We are going to implement this program with help of choices. What kind of choices? Choice 1 is push, choice 2 is pop, choice 3 is traverse, and choice 4 is exit, right? So we are going to write a menu driven program over here. We are going to write a menu driven program over here, right? So in order to take that choice, I am taking one more variable called as ch, that is choice. Okay, and this menu is going to run again and again. So we have to run this menu in the form of a do while loop. We have to run this in the form of do while loop. So what we are going to run in the form of do while loop, that what operation user wants to perform. 1 is push, 2 is pop, new line, 3 is traverse, new line, 4 is exit. So these 4 choices will give to our user. After that we are going to scan, right? We are going to take input from our user. What input we are going to take? We are going to take input in the form of choice. So user will enter either 1 he wants to do, or 2 or 3 or 4, right? Based on what he has entered, we will have switch case for this choice, right? In which the case 1 will have logic for push, case 2 will have logic for pop, case 3 will have logic for traverse, and case 4 will be just to come out of our logic of a normal break, we can say, right? And we can write a default case also telling that some wrong choice is entered by our user, right? We should also handle exceptions in our logic, right? So we can have a default choice, and this loop will continuously rotate, do while loop, till what? Till your choice is becoming 4. So till your choice is not equal to 4, this is going to continue. The moment you make your choice as 4, you say that you want to exit from your program, and this do while loop will break. Are you getting this? So this is how we control this program into an infinite, I would say, not infinite, in a continuous loop rather, until you press a choice called as 4. Now what is our case 1? Our case 1 is push. So what we do in push? First we increment top by 1 by writing top is equal to top plus 1. And then we scan the element at a of top. And sometimes if your top becomes 4, we also seen that we have to consider a case called as stack overflow, right? So I'll write a condition first for my stack overflow. So if the value of top has become 4, if the value of top has become 4, so this is a phenomenon where my stack will become overflow. So I'll print a message to my user that stack is overflowed. Are you getting this? Now if it is not the case, okay, if it is not the case, So if my top is not 4, so my top is say -1 or 0 or 1 or 2, right? So in that case what we do, first we do top is equal to top plus 1 as I has given you in the example, right? And then we scan the element, right? Then we scan the element. Where we scan that element? We scan that element at A of top. We scan that element at A of top. Are you getting this? Oh, I have added one mistake bracket. Okay, so we are going to scan that element at A of top, right? So this is how I am going to perform a push. This is how I am going to perform push. Before I scan this, let us write some message to our user that please enter the element. So user will come to know that why that prompt is standing there, right? So I'll enter a meaningful message here that enter element. Are you getting this? Enter an element. Are you getting this? Okay. So user will enter some element and will come out. This will be our case 1. This will be our case 1. Okay. What will be case 2? Case 2 will be for popping. So what is the exception of popping? That if our top becomes -1, it is the situation for stack underflow. It is the situation for stack underflow. Right? We have seen examples for this. I hope you have understanding the logic, how it is developed. Okay. So unless and until you take examples, you won't be able to write this logic, right? Unless and until you take examples, it is very difficult for you to write these logics. Okay. So every time you learn programming, my request to students is first try to develop examples, and based off that examples, see how I have formulated here different conditions. That will help you to develop your programming skills and problem solving skills. Okay. So coming back to pop, in else, what we do? First we print what is getting popped, if you remember, right? So %d is getting popped. We print a message to her. And what is that element that is getting popped? It is A of top. It is A of top that is getting popped. Are you with me? Right? After we pop, what we do? Top is equal to top minus 1. So we'll print that 50 is getting popped, right? Then top is equal to top minus 1. 4 will become 3. Then 40 is getting popped. Then 3 will become 2 and so on. We'll continue this process, right? And this is how we complete our logic of pop. What is our next logic? Our next logic is case 3, and this case 3 is for traverse operation. This case 3 is for traverse operation. Okay. So how this traverse operation will be done? So I have to print all the elements. Now sometimes in traverse, you might be in a situation that there is nothing to traverse, right? Your stack itself is empty. So you should print to your user that your stack is empty. So if your top itself is equal to -1, if your top is itself equal to -1, I'll first print to our user that our stack is empty. There is nothing to print in my stack. Okay, our stack is empty. There is nothing to print in my stack. Or else, if it is not empty, then I can print the stack elements. So for that, what I suggested, we can have a for loop. I is equal to 0, I less than equal to top, I plus plus. What we are going to do? We are going to print all the elements of our stack, one after the other. So we will print the first element, then new line, second element and new line, and all the elements will be printed from 0 till top. From 0 till top. So this is how our traverse logic will work. This is how our traverse logic will work. What is our case 4? Case 4 is exit. So there is nothing to do in this. Again, in case 4 we will simply do a break. And what is our default case? So if user by mistake, if he is not pressing 1, 2, 3, 4, he is pressing something else, he is pressing 10, 15, right? User can make certain mistakes, right? So you should handle those exceptions. So how I am handling here? So I can print a meaningful message, that is it, incorrect choice. Incorrect choice, right? And default I don't need to write a break, because as is it is going to come down and come out of our loop. So I hope you have understood the essence behind the 4 cases of stack implementation, right? So let us try to compile this, right? Let us try to compile this logic. Oh, 0 errors and 0 warnings. It is actually satisfactory. I appeal all students, when you also practice, it is always good to have a program when we write good amount of code, and if everything gets compiled and executed, then a sigh of relief comes to us, right? So if I try to run, now you can see there are 4 options: push, pop, traverse and exit. What will happen if I do a traverse now? Initially if I do a traverse, there is nothing in stack, right? So it will print me stack is empty. Then if I do a push, one option, push, it will ask me enter element. I am entering element as 20. So 20 is now gone in my first position. If I traverse, you can see 20 over there. Are you getting this? Again, if I do a push, 30, push, 40, push, 50, push, 100. So 5 elements I have pushed. You can traverse and you can see, right? 20, 30, 40, 50, 100. Now our stack is of size 5. Again, if I do push, what will happen? Stack overflow. Are you getting this? Stack overflow. Now if I do a pop, what will be popped first? 20, 30, 40, 50, 100. What will be popped first? LIFO, last in, first out. 100 will be popped first, right? So it will print 100 is popped. Again, if I do a pop, what will be popped? 50 is popped. Again, if I do a pop, what will be popped? 40 is popped. Again, if I do a push in between, if I push say 5, I do a traverse. So 20, 35, right? So it is handling all those operations in continuous mode. I will do all the pops now. Pop, pop, pop. Now everything is pop. Again, if I do a pop, what will happen? Stack underflow. So this is how all the operations we have catered to using stack. Okay. So this stack basically can be used for variety of applications. Okay. We can use this stack for variety of applications. So what kind of applications we can use? So the first application of stack I would say is reversal of string. What is the application? First application of stack? It is reversal of string. So if I have a string called as say ADCET, if I have a string called as ADCET, and if I ask you to revert this, revert means the output will be TECDA. So how I will revert this? My first process will be to push all the characters of that string into the array, correct? Until I find the end of string. So I'll push A first, correct? Then I push D, then I push C, then I push E, and finally I'll push T, right? Now string is end, so null character, that is end of string, has encountered. I'll not push. So all characters are pushed. Now I will start popping the elements until my stack becomes empty. So if I pop, what will be printed? T will be printed first, right? Then if I pop, what will be printed? E. Then next time C. Then next time D. And then next time A. And if stack is empty, I'll stop the popping process. So this is how I have reverted my string using stack. There is another application of stack in the form of polish notation, which we will discuss in subsequent lectures. I hope this first lecture of our lecture series of stack was appealing for all of you. I would advise all students right now to try this logic implementing in C, that is stack using C, and I would appeal all of you to try to find the problems of polish notation called as infix to prefix and infix to postfix, which is another application of stack. Okay, infix to prefix and infix to postfix. So try to visit Geeks for Geeks website, and on that website try to see these two logics. For implementing these two logics, you need to use the program of stack itself, right? So now once you have this background of stack and its application, you will be able to solve these two problems also. So with this note, I would like to call up for this particular video, and surely I'll get back to you with more such videos in our lecture series. The next lecture I'll be uploading soon. Please do subscribe to the channel so that you will get regular updates on the data structures videos that I am uploading. Stay at home, stay safe, keep learning and enjoy programming.